Welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here is Samson's take. This will collapse a government in a serious country, part 2. There's a security concern about this title, but I will explain at the end of this presentation because I obviously cannot mean it literally as in a coup. People see you. Yes, those friends and neighbors put up smiles but have questions. They know that until your party came into power, you could not afford much. Yes, for some of you, they know you could not even secure a bank loan for a 50,000 car. Yes, they gossip. And some of them, your best friends, tell stories. Today, you can pay spot cash in hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 5-bedroom house in a plush location in the city and do profligate stuff like, say, John, you may not acquire the property in your name, but they know. They know that approach is not a new strategy, but the standard operating manual for you thieving bunch of politicians and public office holders with opportunity and access to public funds. They know as much as you do that you do not earn a quarter of what you spend. They may not know how you come by your wealth. One thing they are setting off is that you cannot sincerely explain the source of income for that new big business or the one run by your relative or associate. They seem to have resigned to this vicious cycle that impoverishes the majority. Suddenly, you can afford what you call philanthropy, but which is limited to those select communities in that constituency you now visit regularly. They gossip about how you try to outspend the DCE, who is even using state resources in a manner to gain political advantage for a personal ambition. They are very familiar with what you are doing ahead of party or national elections. We know how many genuine people or those who, don't have the opportunity of public office and unable to build a war chest and don't get support for electoral office. Some candidates in the upcoming MPP executive elections are telling the world the obvious as they complain about over-monetization of the elections. Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy was one of the party's best presidential candidates by all standards, but no one voted for him because pedigree and great ideas alone were not attractive enough. Even the media didn't give him as much attention ahead of the elections as they did after he released that book, Chasing the Elephant into the Bush. I gave him a bit of coverage. A couple of years later, he returned to Kumasi with a gift of a wristwatch for me, and I cherished it. He knew at all times that I will not accept even TNT. He and Boachi Trematin Ejako appear to be in the same league. They have deep, enviable roots in politics and national service. They are frank, independent-minded. They have great pedigree and proven track record in the corporate world. And they show passion and conviction to offer good and principled leadership. But these rare qualities don't seem enough. So we know the roots of the corruption, the grand corruption problem that the CDD's Afro Barometer finds has been normalized in Ghana. if we had a law expanding the constitutional provision on unexplained wealth to affect relatives and with guidelines on effective enforcement, I believe a lot would be achieved fighting corruption. We have a whistleblowers law requiring a fund to compensate those who expose corrupt conduct, but there has been no interest in setting up the fund and ensuring the protection the law offers are available and effective. Some are doing everything to frustrate the power of the right to information law to fight corruption. Mr. President, your convincing promise to this fight was the biggest attraction propelling your election victory in 2016. If you don't see what happens around you, how do you explain your inaction when the facts are brought to you? I wrote a letter for a minister who resigned on principle, not having been accused of stealing a dime. It was tweaked to insert a line of praise for you for being upright. In the last couple of weeks, JoyNews has handed you incontrovertible evidence of corrupt conduct by your appointees, but you seem to feign lack of awareness. Can you at least act on those? Someone who was not very smart in forging a contract by altering the contract sum of 5.7 million to 10.4 million Ghana cedis. The petition is said to have been lodged with your office at the start of the year and copied to some 5 other appointees, but not even an acknowledgement. And your own former appointee is blocked from getting audience in the Jubilee House for 5 whole months. Well, we thank God the special prosecutor has intervened, commenced investigations, and taking steps to stop payment of the inflated amount of 5 million cedis since we raised the issue on Newsfile about a month ago and after he was petitioned. When I joined Bright Simmons on issues of the cost and procurement for the controversial cathedral, the purpose is not for the unnecessary emphasis on the comparison with the disputed cost of the architectural design of the Burj Khalifa, or even the property or the propriety of the cathedral. The invitation to you and your government is to keep to your word against resort to single source procurement, and doing so by violating the procurement laws with impunity and in a manner that appears to conform or confirm what you convinced us was unacceptable. Cronyism, procurement with inflated prices, smacking of corruption. We wait for explanations why one architect is handed some 7 or more multi-million-dollar projects without competition and in breach of the procurement laws of Ghana. We see abundance of the very things we joined you to crusade against to collapse the Mahama government in 2016. Your appointees and party people defending the naked rot, now impervious to advice and criticism, were constantly on this show over these issues. So those of you at the helm of the realm who spoke to me expressing concern about the title of my take, please be rest assured, I don't mean it literally like a coup d'etat. You know, I don't believe in that, and that my firm conviction, which I have expressed publicly, is that our democracy will never witness any such ever again. I doubt the possibility of impeachment of a government that is not accountable. so long as our parliament remains what it is. But I believe in collapsing such a regime at the polls. And that is my take. We'll be right back to introduce my guest and to get into the vexed matters for this morning.